Hi.
Hi. Hi, am I audible?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Oh, 1 second. Okay, hi Amar. Thank you for doing this today.
No
And
problems. No problems, Meghna.
yeah, so actually, we did one live on composting last week where we spoke about the basics of composting
Okay.
and just the process of it actually. How does one start and go about it? But
Yeah.
this week, we wanted to talk about it more from a community perspective. So I
Okay.
have some questions from our team and our followers and from me personally, which I'll ask you and we can have a discussion on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah. So we've been following Daily Dump from quite some time, and so you call yourself an environmental service, and we wanted to know how has this whole journey started? So how did it start?
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
at Daily Dump, we started in 2006. So we are a 14-year-old company, and the idea was basically when we looked at how waste is being managed, say in the country, we found that there's a big gap in the sense that a lot of taxpayers' money and a lot of money is just put into taking waste from one spot to the other, and that too mixed waste. We saw that that was a big issue, especially back then. Nobody was really talking about
Yeah.
composting and segregation in such a big way that it's being talked about right now. Uh, so we saw that gap, and when you actually analyze the waste that comes out of a regular Indian household or a community, you realize that 60% of it is actually just food waste. And when you understand what constitutes food waste, you realize that so much of it is just nutrition, and it's just been
Yeah.
called waste because it got mixed with some other stuff that had to be given out, and it finally ended up on the side of a lake or in a landfill or on a road. That didn't make sense, because if 60% of it is just nutrition, which can actually go back to the soil, why is that not happening was the question. And from there, that's where it started, from that thought. And then we designed our products, and we felt, okay, how do we get people to compost more? What is the kind of composter that we should make that people uh, adopt it easily, they find it fun to do, they also find it beautiful to look at, so that changes the whole mindset around waste and putting it in the backyard, sort of a thing. So those are the kind of mindsets that we try to tackle while designing the composters. And yeah, so that's how it started. So then we ended up building, say, India's first home composting terracotta unit, which is called a
Okay.
Khamba composter, for example. And it's been quite a journey since. As today, some nearly more than 60,000 odd customers use that in their individual homes. And we
Mm.
also have more than 600 odd communities across the country who are doing it on a slightly larger basis in the midst of their community. But however you do it, whether at home or at a community, essentially what you're doing is you're saving all that nutrition from just going out, money and carbon footprint and fuel being spent on just taking it somewhere else and dumping it. And instead, you're actually converting it into wonderful compost and nutrition for your plants, for your gardens, or for your urban farmers, or even for the farmers in the rural areas, where all that compost can actually go and serve some purpose. So,
Okay.
so that's how the journey has been, and we've seen, uh, when it started, there were very few adopters. It was just very nascent, and it was mostly those people who are really, really inclined to the environment and
And
sustainability, and they already talk about it in their circles, for example. We also wanted to reach out to people who do not do that. Why can't we just make composting something that just makes sense to more people? It's like keeping, you know, maybe not the very apt example, but like, let's say keeping a fridge at home, which did not
mm,
used to happen, say, 100 years ago, but now cannot imagine a household without a
without.
refrigerator, right? So what would it take for composting to become that is the big challenge. that we're trying to tackle, and instead of it just being something that is done by a small group of people, it's neither right now. It's somewhere in between where a lot of new adopters are coming in, and a lot of factors are playing a role in getting people who might not have even heard of it 3 years ago but are now starting to compost. So that is also
Okay.
happening right now.
So,
So yeah,
so are you guys based even out of India?
we
I
are based
think.
out of India also. Yeah, so we're actually, our head office is in Bangalore. That's where I'm sitting right now.
Okay.
Uh, we have a presence in about nearly 20 cities across the country in India itself. So we have our outlet partners where these are people who are local businesses that we tie up with, who spread the message of composting in their communities and their areas, and they get our composters there, and they can sell it to people who are living around their areas, for example. Similarly,
Okay.
we've tied up with some people abroad. Say we have a partner or an outlet in the USA, and we have somebody in Dubai, uh, uh, like that. So we are also trying to see, but internationally, it's not the same as what it is like in India. So we have to think of some
Okay.
innovative partnerships. We are trying to collaborate with people and co-designing some solutions in some areas. So yeah, so that is also happening.
So,
Yes.
since it's been 14 years, which is like quite a long time, so what is the kind of change you saw in the community regarding composting? Like, how has people's mindset changed there from then to now?
So, taking a thought from whatever I was saying before itself, uh, it's becoming so like 5 years ago, if I was going, or say 6 years ago, if I was going to a composting demo, and I was going to speak to a community and say, composting is possible, you have to actually start from segregation. You have to actually
Hmm.
tell people, what you're mixing, it is not great. Sometimes you even have to explain the definition of composting, that this is something that exists, it's possible to do. And it started from that literally. And uh, which again, a side thought, that itself is such a big gap, right? So we are not knowing this. We study so hard and we finish our education. We still don't know
Yeah.
that composting is possible and waste needs to be managed better, right? Anyway, coming back, but now it has changed. Now we feel when we go talk to people, they've heard of it. And there are many factors that have played a part. I think the whole Swachh Bharat thing, for example, the what it did was it got people at least talking, and since it was put out so barely in front of them that they could see that, oh, segregation is important. You saw those big posters. There are so many drives. So these days, if I go to, and I'm talking mostly urban landscapes, by the way, because we are primarily trying to solve an urban problem here.
Urban. Hmm.
So when we go to communities now, the context is already set. They know segregation is important. You don't have to really explain that. So that is a positive sign. Uh, Whether it's happening or not is a secondary thing. They might not be following the best practices. So you tell them, okay, no, please go for these kind of bins. Make sure that everybody knows what to put and what not to put. The maids of the building are trained, for example. Uh,
Okay.
that context is already there, but the difference between the intention and finally adopting a solution, that difference still exists, because people have a lot of apprehension still. Oh, is it going to smell? Is it
Hmm.
going to be a health hazard? People even ask questions like, "Oh, am I going to go sick if I'm composting?"
Yeah.
And some people feel if my neighbor is composting, that's why I'm getting mosquitoes at my place. So, there are those kind of myths and a lot of apprehensions when people think, "Oh, my waste is just going to lie in my home," because people are not used to it. Uh, so,
Yeah.
so now it's become that side of the challenge. So what I'm saying is, just getting people to just take that extra step and do it. Uh, so I would say, yeah, communities awareness and knowledge that this thing exists and is possible to do has increased quite a bit, especially in the last 5 to 6 years, I'd say.
Okay. So, what do you think, like, what motivates people to actually adopt it and, actually do it and follow it and not give up? Because I think the reasons for giving up, like you said, would be smell or they don't have any awareness that, diseases and health hazard and all of that. So, what actually makes them adopt
Hmm.
composting and stick to
Uh,
it?
yeah, so I'd say what makes them adopt it and what makes them stick to it might be different things. So we feel that what makes people start composting is sometimes a lot of word of mouth. We feel with composting, it is, oh, my friend is doing it. Then you go check it out in their house. My neighbor is doing it. My relative is doing it. And since we try to make the composters very beautiful and easy to kind of manage, people take a lot of pride in it. So, one
Mm.
happy composting person, I've very rarely heard of them not going and telling it to other people. It really becomes like a movement, uh, and it really gives you a kick, so to speak. So then you tell five people, and then they come and start. So we get a lot of people coming into our our store or our website who are like, I've seen it somewhere, but I want to start now. But what
Mm.
keeps them going is so when they start, I think the first batch of compost, when you actually feel it in your hand and actually when you smell it, it's really magical because
Yeah.
they realize that all this I was considering waste, and it's kind of like this very rainy
Turned
smell
into
sort of a soil.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, and that also we as a brand try to really you know talk to people about that feeling and saying, hey, when you get compost, it's then you realize it's going to be great. So then you have customers who not only compost, so they start getting interested in more gardening. They grow their own food. It kind of opens up the door to doing a lot of other things also. uh, so I'd say it's that encouragement that keeps them going to sort of continue
Okay.
composting. But needless to say, there are people who kind of stop composting also, because when you compost, what's happening is in that compost is literally life. You're replicating what's happening in the natural world and trying to do it in a smaller way in your own house. So
Yeah.
there's bound to be, for example, organisms. Sometimes people get creeped out, or why are fruit flies coming, especially if I'm putting
Yeah.
mango seeds in it. But these days composting has come to a place where people have innovated enough to solve any of those problems. You can easily compost for 10 years without facing uh, much issues, but also keeping in the back of your mind that what I'm doing is nature, so I'm bound to and it's like a practice thing also. Like you practice yoga or whatever and you become
Yeah.
better at it. After about say 6 months of composting, you easily know, okay, if I'm putting this thing into my composter, I might need to add a bit more of the carbon.
More. Okay.
And if I'm putting only peels of vegetables, I might not add so much of carbon or coconut coir or something, and it would still work. So it's like that too. It's like a musical instrument
Mhm.
or some sort of practice which you uh, then become so much better at it.
So the awareness has increased over the years, but that step to actually, start composting, that difference is still there, which we are
That's what I
trying to
feel
address.
personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
also, it totally depends where you look at these things from, because
Okay.
again, like I said, what I'm speaking of is mostly bigger Indian cities. Say we are based out of Bangalore, right? And we're trying, and we have a good established network, say in places like Delhi, Bangalore, Bombay. So that's where I'm talking. But the reason I mention that is because we've seen that interest in tier two and tier three towns has also started coming in the last 2-3 years. But although the number of adopters may be still less,
Yes.
so that's the gap that I'm talking about. Saying how do you
Okay.
bridge that? Sometimes it's just about availability of the product also. There are places in India where getting a composter might not be easy. So that's also
Hmm.
another gap for companies like us to fill, because if there is intentions of people to do it but there's nothing to do it with, uh, yeah, and people who would do a DIY sort of composting, I feel they're always a very small fragment of the total
Hmm.
population. There will definitely always be people like that who set up their own thing in the backyard or make a pit and do
Yeah.
it in slightly open areas. But that and there are great case studies and stories, but the on a larger scale, maybe it won't solve the problem. You need people to be adopting some solutions.
Okay. So do you guys do any sort of events regarding composting and to spread awareness?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of our work actually goes into that.
Okay.
And in fact, the elephant in the room, before COVID started, it was, we would do community demos all the time. We are
Okay.
always a call away, and people can, just we would just call us over, and we would, train the housekeeping staff or train the residents on fields to do it and things like that. We would also do work.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yeah.
Okay. Sorry. I think there was
Yeah,
some
yeah. Yeah,
misconnection.
there's a
Yeah.
problem.
So I
Yeah.
was so I was saying we would also do workshops for children, workshops for say corporate or any other offices, workshops for municipality workers. Actually, in Bangalore, uh, if I just actually reverse the camera, you see that place of that is actually our store here in Bangalore, but it's also a
Okay.
an experience center, we call it. And
Okay.
over here we would actually do a lot of uh, workshops, and it's kind of designed in a way that you can get them to do different activities and
Hmm.
spend a day here. But definitely after COVID hit, this kind of took a backseat, and it's more virtual now. I'd say it's
Yeah.
50-50 still, where a lot of Zoom events we do, Insta lives, of course, as we're doing right now.
Yeah.
But we are still going around, and but the interest of composting, I think, is still there.
Hmm.
Recently we've gotten a lot more communities also to start composting in a bigger way.
So there is receptivity
Yeah, there is
amongst
still
people.
receptivity. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, especially during these COVID times, people have, they're reconnecting with nature a little more
Hmm.
because they're spending time at home, and uh, especially gardening, even more than composting. I think there's some people I know that
Took to
were
gardening.
not gardening
Yeah.
before, and now
They're
they're like,
growing
okay,
their
let me
own
try.
food. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that is also a very interesting phenomena, and I just hope that it sticks even after this COVID storm
Hmm.
passes, whenever it does. Uh,
So how's it with children? Like what age group do you work with?
Different age groups. We would get children from even kindergarten to even up to
Okay.
say 8, 9, 10 standard kids. We would do different activities with them, and we've also done some sort of curriculum work where we've set up modules for them to go through and learn more about sustainability, waste management at a younger age. Because also we feel, let's say if I look at myself, and my education completed, even I did not know the solutions to these things like waste or
Yeah.
what's happening to the environment. But you do know a lot of other stuff that you end up not really, using
Using. Yeah.
in your everyday being. Uh, so that's another gap, like uh, really getting young minds to kind of think about it. So when they actually pass out of schools and colleges, for them it's normal. They've spoken
Hmm.
about it, they know it exists, and it's easier for them to adopt. I think that kind of work is also very important if we want that in the next generations also kind of look at this as a problem that can be solved.
Hmm. Okay, so also I think you guys have a line of products, right?
Yeah.
Different types of composters and other products. Can you tell us a little about your different products and also which composter is better if I want to do it as an individual and on also on a community level?
Okay, sure. So we have I'll just show you. I have some products sitting here.
Sure, sure, sure.
Let me know if the connection goes bad or anything.
Yeah,
So this, for example, I hope you can see it. So it's basically
yeah,
one of
yeah.
our one of our oldest products called Khamba, or it's a terracotta composter. And as you
Hmm.
can see, there are basically three pots here. There's A, B, and C, we call them. So what we
Okay.
do is we start off with the first pot right here.
Huh.
These have meshes at the bottom, but you kind of put a newspaper sheet at the bottom before you start using it. And what you
Okay.
do is, and if you take a look, you'll see that. See inside, you see this. This is basically coco peat powder. So we
Okay.
put our daily kitchen waste into this, and we
Hmm.
covered it with this powder called as remix powder. We call it here in Delhi Dump.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so, so when you open your composter, it should look like this from the top. You should not be able to see waste. It should just
Okay.
have a layering of remix powder on top of it, and then you close the lid. And the reason this was completely filled right now is because we've been filling that first unit actually for a few days now. It's been like 7 to 10
Okay.
days approximately. And then once this completely fills up, this first unit will actually go and sit in the second spot, and the second one will come on the top. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, and then you fill the second one completely. You fill it up, and
Okay.
then after the second is completely filled, you take the contents of the first one, which is now lying in this second spot,
Huh.
and you put the contents into the
Empty.
third. Yeah,
Okay.
and then again it comes on top. And the reason we made this as a stacking thing is because people don't have space, right? So when we're trying to do composting for urban populations,
Hmm.
they need something that fits into their balconies or into their porches and just sits on the side.
Okay.
And yeah, so after all the three pots are filled, you can take out the compost from the bottommost unit and you can start using it. And this is what your compost
Hmm.
actually looks like. You can see sieved compost here, and it's, like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
dark and crumbly, looks like soil. So this is a
So
typical
how
composter
long
for,
does this take?
this process takes
Uh,
about 30 to 40 days total at least.
okay.
Uh, that is completely filling. So if I'm starting, say, on 1st of September with the first
Hmm.
pot, I finish
Hmm.
filling the first pot or the first unit by around 10th or 15th of September, then the second one by the end of September, and the
Hmm.
third one by the middle of October. So around
Okay.
the middle of October or the third week of October is when my compost will be ready for the first time.
So that's when the first
Uh,
one comes to the bottom.
Uh, no, so the first one has, yeah, exactly. So that one first comes to the bottom, and then you remove the done compost from there, basically.
Okay. And what is the remix powder you were talking about?
Yeah, I'll just show you that also. So
Yeah.
remix powder is basically uh, cocoa peat.
Okay.
Are you aware of the material of cocoa peat?
Can you tell us a little more about it? Like, how is it made?
Okay, so cocoa peat is basically a composting additive. It's something that provides a lot of carbon to your compost. The reason carbon is important is because your waste, which you see right here, is full of
Yeah.
nitrogen, and you need
Okay.
to add some sort of a carbon additive that makes sure the water is absorbed from your waste, and also makes sure that uh, there's enough carbon that combines with the nitrogen and it compost the waste faster. If I was to take this waste and I were to just say put it in the garden or the soil, it would
Hmm.
still compost, but it would take longer and it would be slightly smelly process. But
Okay.
by adding this, it's just faster. Cocoa peat is made from the coconut coir pith, basically. The fibrous part of the coconut. It falls down in
Huh.
coconut farms.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
it has a very high moisture absorption capacity. So it can absorb a lot of moisture, which is great because it really helps to reduce smell when you're or to completely eliminate smell actually when you're doing the process of composting. And when you mix these two,
Okay.
this is the kind of stuff you'll see maybe after about 3 to 4 weeks time. It will be like half done sort of compost. Some things will be bigger, some things will be fully done. And finally, if you spend more
Okay.
days and say keep the compost for another month before using, then you'll get this perfect soil texture, which you can sieve also and start using it in your
Okay. So remix
garden.
powder is a mixture of cocoa peat and soil,
And bacterial cultures, yeah,
bacterial
and bacterial
cultures.
cultures
Okay.
actually. So this decomposition happens in the presence of bacteria, and
Hmm.
they just fasten the process. And by adding that culture, it's kind of making the whole thing faster.
So when I
But it can only
compost with this powder, do I
yeah.
need soil?
You don't need soil. You just need your
Okay.
kitchen waste and the powder.
Okay. So
So
you're
that's
just
also
layering
what
it
we
with the
wanted
powder.
to sort of eliminate. Yes, yes, correct. So what we wanted to do was, give our customers something that they can easily just uh, 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 pour on top of the waste and just forget about it basically after they close the lid. When you use soil, so many of our old customers, if you talk to Daily Dump customers from say 2006 to about 2011, 12,
Hmm.
many of them are still using just dry leaves for composting. They don't use any powder, any microbes.
Okay.
it's nature. I mean, that will also compost it for sure. But it's just that you have to mix it up a little more and make sure, the amount of leaves are enough so that the water is absorbed and the whole thing doesn't smell.
Okay.
Uh, but after we introduced this powder, the coco peat or the remix powder, the process of composting became much, much simpler. And our point is that we need to give customers something that really helps them adopt it easily so that you have more
Yeah.
encouragement and more people doing it.
Also, people, I
Yeah,
think their main complaint is they don't have time to do stuff. So if it's
exactly.
just a
Yeah,
powder, I think it's much easier for them.
it's much easier. And
Okay.
just to mention, there's no chemicals in this. It's
Okay.
completely organic, just coco peat and bacterial cultures. So it's very safe to be used with hands and everything. There's no problems as such.
Okay.
And I'll show you something more also. So, for
Okay.
example, now this is another composter for slightly bigger communities. Say if there are 3, 4 families or 5 families together, or if
Okay.
there's a big household where sometimes you have joint families where around 20 people are staying or 15 people are staying. This kind of composter works best. So this is called a Gobble Max, and
Okay.
how this works is, so if I just show you from inside, so you'll see that it has a couple of layers inside, and you put your daily kitchen waste into this and cover it
Hmm.
with uh, the process is the same. You cover it with the remix powder and keep filling it up. But since you see that the material here is a plastic material,
Yeah.
uh, hence the you have to make sure the excess moisture in this case is taken out of the.
Yeah. I can hear you now.
Okay. So I was saying, since
Hmm.
it's made out of plastic material, because we can't make such a big terracotta unit, uh, there is a tap on the side which kind of takes out the excess moisture if you have in your
Okay. Okay.
compost, and that moisture itself or the leachate can actually be used as a uh, 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 fertilizer itself. It's like a liquid fertilizer that you mix with regular water and you can pour it into your plants, for example.
Okay. 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 And so we have a few questions here. Can processed food be composted?
Yes, you can. Like even if you have wasted food, you can uh, put it into your composter. Hello.
But yeah, but is it processed food or just the kitchen waste?
Oh, by processed food, you mean packaged food, like say chocolates, for
Yeah.
example, is it?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. So,
Biscuits,
so the
chocolates. Yeah.
yeah. So the thing is, it can be composted, but you are never really sure of what the composition is or what's inside the food, right? Uh, for example, uh,
Yeah.
hello. Sorry, there was some uh, signal error again, I think. Am I audible?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I was saying, uh, in terms of composition, there are a lot of things that. So if you send your compost out for testing, for example, there are a lot of things that people see, like how much is the potassium in it, what is the amount of nitrogen, and what is the
Hmm.
amount of calcium, and all that. So if you go into those deeper details, depending on what you put inside, will definitely. So one person's compost will never be the same as the other person's compost in terms of the constituents. The amount of elements in it, for example. Uh, but I think a little bit of processed food, if you have wasted, you can mix it with your regular. It won't change the composition much.
Much.
Uh,
Okay.
and it, and in terms of some people also have this doubt of, say, adding newspapers, for example. We tell people to avoid excess newspaper because newspaper has lead in it because of the ink. So that could be something not great for the compost, although you might not be able to visibly see that problem. But as such, you can put cooked food, uncooked food, peels. If you're a
Okay.
non-vegetarian food eater, you can put the bones, eggshells. Absolutely no problems. All those things can be put into a composter.
Okay. There's another question saying, can I have this in my kitchen balcony in an apartment? I think they meant the last composter that you showed.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So
Yeah.
it's designed to be kept into a balcony. Most of our customers have it in balconies actually.
Okay. And how do you know your compost is ready and what's the right moisture level after 45 days?
The compost is ready. So there are some physical indicators that you can see. One is it would have become very dark and black in color.
Hmm.
Uh, some things will definitely take a long time. Like let's say, for example, we mentioned bones, or say we put in a corn on a cob, a bigger piece, or a mango seed. They might still take longer to decompose. So what you can do is you can take those out and put it back. But if the rest of the stuff has turned into this black sort of crumbly mass of soil, and when you smell it, it does not smell of waste anymore. It actually smells like soil.
Okay.
So those couple of things, if you can feel, you'll pretty much know that it's done. Uh, Third thing is you can also check the temperature while composting is happening. Actually, the inside of the compost
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so I was saying, so while composting is happening, the inside of the composter may be hot.
Hmm.
And once it comes back to room temperature after the process is completed, that means your compost is
It's
ready. That's
ready.
another indicator. Yeah.
Okay. And um, okay, can we use just cardboard as the dry part for composting? Can cardboard and paper alone make it up?
Yes, you can. Like I was saying, the coco peat that we use is just the best material to compost in, according to us,
Okay.
because it just makes it very convenient and you're just layering it and you're kind of done. But you can try different things. You can use anything that has carbon, cardboards, dry leaves, even sawdust from wood carving shops, for example. Uh,
Okay.
all those things can be used for making compost. Absolutely no problems. But just the amount of effort might be a little more when you're mixing it and all that.
More. Okay. So someone's asking, is it important to stir or add curd once in a while?
It's a good thing to do. Uh, Stirring, I'd say once a week is fine in your home
Okay.
compost, the smaller one that I showed. In the
Okay.
bigger one, the one that I showed for communities, and we have an even larger one for bigger communities like large apartments. There, the stirring is not necessary because it's a large amount of material. Just layering is fine. Home composters, you stir it once a week, and curd itself is also a very good accelerator. You can add it once a week and mix it when you're stirring it also. That's actually perfect for compost.
Okay. And yeah, we have how expensive is coco peat and is there a difference in the quality of coco peat to look for?
Yes, there is. So you'll find a lot of coco peat actually being sold for gardening purposes. So most of that coco peat will already have some amount of moisture in it.
Hmm.
And but for composting itself, you should buy coco peat which is completely dried, and it will ensure that it's actually doing its job of actually absorbing the moisture and making sure your composting is faster. So that should be one thing to look at. So, but now you can, if you go online also, you can find specific composting uh, coco peat and you can try it out. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, so there are different variations. You'll find variable costs also because when something has a bit of moisture in it, the cost might be a little low because there is an added weight of water. But if you find completely dried and powdered coco peat, it would be anywhere around 30-40 rupees a kilo also sometimes.
Can you can we make coco peat on our own? Like, what is the process? You said the fiber of the coconut, right?
Yeah.
So how do we
No,
get to this stage? Is it
like making, I don't think it'll be feasible for people living in homes, for example, on a larger scale, I'm saying. Uh,
okay?
but but if you have a garden at home, you might as well use your dried leaves more because that'll be more accessible. Or I mean, you can if you can take a dried coconut and you take out the fibrous part of it, you
Hmm.
can use that for composting. But sometimes specific composting coco peat, what happens in coconut farms, the coco peat that they get, they usually wash it with water so as to remove the dust from it, because it's usually filled
Hmm.
with a lot of dust because it falls down in the farms. And after washing it, they powder it and they dry it, and then they also you know sell it in terms of composting coco peat. So there is a bit of a process that goes there. But
Okay.
if you're doing it at home itself, you can try local stuff that is available around you.
Okay. Okay. Can I keep opening and closing often? It's an anaerobic process, right? Yeah.
It's not anaerobic. So the composters that I showed you and whatever we make at Daily Dump is completely aerobic. It's in the presence of air. It's literally like breathing the process. Uh, uh, Anaerobic process is completely different. So yes, so in this case, you can keep it. It's meant to be opened and closed every day because it is full of air and it's an aerobic process.
Okay. So instead of does it also have holes on the sides, the kamba?
Yes, it does.
And it has a mesh at the bottom.
The first two pots that I showed on the top, they have
Yeah.
a mesh
Mesh.
at the bottom individually so that the airflow is there. The last or the bottom pot is solid from the bottom because it has to rest on the ground.
Okay. So those are also available in different sizes, right?
Different sizes. So there's a large one where if you're a family of 4 to 5 people, there is a small one. If you're a family of 2, 3 people, you can get. There's another one called Leave It Pots, for example, for which is for slightly bigger families. And if there are 2, 3, 5 families wanting to do it together, at least you can start with this Gobble Max, the other big one that I showed you.
Hmm.
And if it's a community, say we are a lot of apartment, 100 apartments, 200 apartments or something, we have another product called the Aga composter, which is also available. It'll be slightly bigger, and we install that in, say, a common area in the community where the housekeeping staff or people who are already working there as housekeeping, they collect the waste from the houses and they go and put it into that larger composter in the compound.
Okay. How big is the Aga composter?
So that is slightly bigger. For example, if for 25 families, you need about two of them, and
Okay.
each of them is it occupies an area of about 1 meter by 1 meter. So not very
Okay.
huge, but still considerable because it has to be kept out in the open. So usually people keep it either around a sidewalk or in a garden area or say on the terrace. So there are different options to keep it.
So is
Uh,
that the biggest that you guys have?
that's the
The
biggest that
biggest
we have.
composter? Okay.
Yes, yes. We've even done that for, say, communities of sizes of 400 or 500 odd apartments.
Okay.
And over there, you just increase the number of agas and blockwise you can install them somewhere in the
Okay.
vicinity. We are also coming up with another one which might be still a little bigger than that, but that might take a couple of months at least to launch it. So,
Okay.
because we are seeing that, especially in urban areas like metro cities, the populations are growing vertically. Now there are bigger and bigger apartment complexes and stuff like that coming up.
Hmm.
So just to be able to give solutions there, we're also trying to do that.
Okay. Is it a problem if you leave the compost in part two of a three-tire khamba for more than 60 days?
No, more number of days is not a problem. It's always better. So the more time
Okay.
you give compost, it just keeps getting better. Uh, there is no upper limit on the time. In fact, some people rephrase that question and they ask, "Oh, what if I go for a holiday? Would that be a problem for my composter?"
Hmm.
Absolutely no, absolutely not. It's actually great.
Okay. The more, yeah, I think it gets more time to decompose and
Exactly. It
disintegrate.
matures and it forms like a very nice texture, and it's actually wonderful for the compost if you give it more
Hmm.
time.
Okay. When we start off composting for the first time, how do we get the right bacteria in it? Would using the remix mixture contain enough when we start off the first time?
Yes, it would contain enough because it has
Okay.
bacterial cultures. I don't think you need more than that to compost your home kitchen waste. So just having the remix to begin with is definitely a good place to start if you're just starting off. We also give these starter kits, so to speak, which come with 2 bags of remix powder, a composter, and this thing. So if people are interested, they can check them out on our website of Daily Dump as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a question. We are 5 adults and consumption of vegetables and fruits are more. Suggest a right compost bin. We are currently using medium Kamba.
Currently using medium compass. So I think just to add on to that, they can add another terracotta unit called a leave it pot.
Okay.
And it also comes in different sizes. I think the small leave it pot would be enough for 5 members, where they just add it onto the khamba. After their 3 khamba units are filled and they get some sort of half done compost, they can transfer it to the leave it pot and let it mature there for longer.
Okay.
So yeah, and if you're in a place where leave it pots are not accessible, you can always, there's another composter called Chomp, CHOMP, which is available on our website again. That also serves the same purpose of being a separate unit where you can store your compost and it will mature it with time.
Okay. So do you guys have other products other than the remix powder and composters?
Yeah, we do. So one more that I can actually show you. So you see behind this board, this mesh thing, it's full of
Yeah,
dried
yeah.
leaves. So this is a
Okay.
leaf composter in which you add your daily generation of dried leaves from your garden, and you can put microbial cultures in this and it composts it. And this
Okay.
one, you see here is called a Prithvi Khamba. It's for vermi composting, which is a different kind of
Okay.
composting as compared to your aerobic composting that I showed before. So in this, you see there is a top larger pot and there's a smaller one at the base, which has
Yeah.
been actually been put into the ground. So a small hole was made into the ground and it's put into it. So when you put your daily kitchen waste and some dried leaves into this, earthworms actually come from the bottom part of the soil and they enter the composter, and it becomes a vermi composting sort of a setup, which is great
Okay.
because the vermi composting quality is actually really, really good.
Okay.
And
So the worms enter from the bottom.
from the bottom, it's actually got holes in it at the bottom from where the worms can enter and they can compost. And apart from that, what we also do is, if I just quickly show you our materials, like
Okay.
every day using, say a soap bar, so different kinds of soaps, different
Hmm.
kinds of natural deodorants, for example, cleaning agents which are organic and do not harm the planet. So for that, we don't do it directly. We sometimes tie up with other brands and kind of also, if we feel the product is right and is actually creating impact as it promises, we give those brands also an opportunity to come and put stuff up in our stores, and we also sell those.
Okay.
But our primary uh, uh, most amount of design work goes in making good composting solutions and making that easier for people as far
Okay.
as daily dump is concerned. Yeah.
Okay. There's a question saying maintaining terracotta is difficult. Big terrace garden. Suggest an easy one, please.
Okay. So for that, we also have this one. This is made out of recyclable food grade plastic, but the process is
Okay.
just the same. As you can see, it's also got these 4 units.
Hmm.
This is usually adopted by people like someone is mentioning, like you said, if terracotta
Hmm.
is they're finding it difficult. Sometimes terracotta also is a little heavier, so these are lighter to kind of pick up. And this is transportable. So if you're in a place where terracotta composters are not available nearby, then you can pick something like this. It's this one is called a Gobble Senior. This is for a 4 to 5 member family. There's also something called as a Gobble Junior, which is for 2 to 3 people also.
So the container, would it make a difference to the compost, or it's just about the convenience?
Container makes a difference. Terracotta is a wonderful material to compost in.
Okay.
Terracotta itself absorbs a lot of moisture, right? And it's itself a very breathable material. So
Okay.
traditionally, it's like a wonderful material to compost in. But if you're doing it in a food grade plastic sort of a setup, then you definitely need to add more of your remix powder and make sure your moisture is contained. Uh, and the final output is the same. The compost is the same. That doesn't change. It's as far as the process is concerned.
Hmm.
It's just easier, or the terracotta is just more, uh, I'd say, easier to compost in as a material, because even if you get something wrong, say you're not put enough powder in this thing, the material itself kind of helps you out.
Okay. And so is composting done at your stores also?
Yeah, actually the one that I showed you before, the yellow colored one, is actually the one that we are using here. So uh, it's not what we're selling. And
Okay.
whatever food we generate here, or if there's any waste or anything cooked, we come and put it
Hmm.
into the.
Okay. And is there any option like for somebody who doesn't want to compost but also do not want to like throw away the waste but go and give it at a place where they are composting? Is that possible?
Not right now. Uh, there are organizations that would be picking up waste and maybe taking it in bulk.
Okay.
And as far as, let's say if I am at my home, right? So if I produce food waste every day and I go and give it at a composting center, I think I'm spending much more like
More.
carbon in just carting the waste around, I'd say.
Okay.
So it's I don't know whether it would be the most sustainable or the best practice to do that, where individual homes could go and give their waste for compost. But yeah, it's as communities, there are several other business models where people actually pick up waste on a larger scale and they go and compost it centrally. But central large scale composting is very different from this decentralized at home composting. So it's a different experience altogether.
Okay. And yeah, there's a question saying, are you open for collaborations for customized composting?
Um,
I didn't
I didn't
quite
understand that fully.
understand the question.
Yeah, but yeah, we are open to
One,
collaboration all the time. So if somebody wants
yeah.
to, they're free to write to us at hello@dailydump.org. That's the email ID we have.
Okay. And someone says maybe you can tie up with local potters. Wouldn't that give you access to smaller cities?
Absolutely, it would give, and that's something we keep doing actually. So we have potter communities in several places across the country. Uh, but when we tie up with potter communities, we definitely go and see their current setups. We make sure we train them on their own entrepreneurial skills on how to make say uh, composting products at scale, and how to we co-design them the composters with them. So the terracotta composter you might get in the north may actually feel a little different from what you get in the south, for example,
Okay.
because it's different soil, different clay, different potter community. So yeah, that's what we keep doing. But it's definitely it's one of the hardest parts of our business, I'd say. Getting more because potters work as big communities, so you really need to have a long-term sustainable relationship with them to be able to
Hmm.
get this done. So it's just not as easy as finding a potter and getting them started. It's actually a process which takes a longer time.
So where are the kambas sold here made?
Different places. We have south, uh, uh, and then we have west also, like Gujarat, Rajasthan, and then we have Delhi, and even towards.
Okay. And I've also seen like one of your posts regarding how composting actually increases jobs. And can you speak a little about that?
Yeah, so that is actually that would be a big topic, but just in brief, see, when you compost, you kind of give materials value, right? So uh, say I'm as a household composting, so then I'll be making sure my wet waste goes into a compal, which in turn would become compost, and it might just go to a farmer and really help them out with their soil improvement, or it would be taken to an organic farm where it helps in generating vegetables, so it's improving their operations. But apart from that, you also end up segregating other kinds of waste. And when you are giving out waste, for example, to the local recycler or the person who comes to pick up waste, giving them a proper segregated waste where they're getting full value for the material they're picking up, increases their output, and also increases the amount of material which in general is getting repurposed, reused, and recycled in the ecosystem, and
Okay.
hence increasing the amount of value that people generate out of that. material. As opposed to if you were giving wet waste outside and everything eventually is mixed together in a big truck and is taken somewhere, there you've lost all the potential of repurposing, recycling, reusing those materials, and you've lost all the good work that so many different people with different jobs would have done on it. So that's where we are coming
Done.
from, but it's
Okay.
obviously much more complicated than that. When you start looking at the whole ecosystem and where everything goes and who's working on it, what are the jobs being created at each point. But to know it in a little more detail, we have a section on our website also where it's called See the Hidden Connections. You will find it in one of the pages. There you can see a step-by-step thing of what happens when waste goes from one place to the other.
Okay. And do you have different composters for flowers? Because I think I've seen one of those. And like, can they just be mixed with the kitchen waste, or do they have to be composted separately?
They can be, but some people don't because I think people, Hindu population, they do a lot of puja activity where flowers are generated, so
Hmm.
people don't mix it. So if that is the case, you
Okay.
can have a separate composter for a puja, this thing. But technically, it can be mixed with your food waste and composted in the same composter itself. I don't think that's a problem.
Okay. So what has your personal journey been like with composting? Like, when did you start, or how did that happen?
So I started, I'd say 5 years ago,
Okay.
and it was again, so it was just because it's something that just made sense, nothing more to be honest. And I went through the same journey what our customers go through, to be very honest. When the first time I got compost, I was like, wow, this is just something I did not expect. And it was the same story. And then I started using that for a few plants at my home, and then never really just gave up on it. Now it's just become a habit, it's a part of the
I
day,
bet.
and you don't even realize it. It's like subconscious more like, and you just cook food, and as soon as I cut the vegetables, I don't even like put it in a bin or keep it in this. I just straight away go to the composter and put them there. So
Okay. Nice.
yeah.
And the compost made at the store, what is done with that? Is it used there itself, or is it also sold or anything like that?
We try multiple things. Actually, this is the compost that I showed you right now. It's very small part of the compost that we have in our facility. We So when we get communities started with composting, say in Bangalore, we also do compost pickups because sometimes, say there's an apartment of 100 apartments, but their garden or any kind of plants or plantation that they have inside is very, very little. So they end up
Hmm.
producing a lot of surplus compost, which is
Yeah.
another business problem. What do you do with that extra compost? So what we do is we provide a service where when we are sending the next batch of coco peat, we actually pick up that compost from those apartments, and that compost then we try to do different things with it. We try to give it to people who are sell it to people who are interested in gardening, for example, locally. A large part of it goes as bulk things to farmers or people who are into, say, organic farming or any other kind of venture around the town that we have networks of. Uh, or it goes to, um, yeah, mostly that. So selling it either to farms or farmers, or yeah. And the third thing was we were trying to tie up with the government because even the Swachh Bharat Mission had come up with a policy that the city compost, which is produced by many municipalities, should actually go at very, very subsidized rates to the farmer communities in those states. So that is also something. So I think from Bangalore, once or twice it's happened that a large amount of bulk compost has also gone out to farmers. So we also keep looking for collaborations in something like that where we can send it out as well.
Okay. And okay, there's one more question. Can the compost not be used instead of remix there itself? I did not get the question.
So I think the question is,
Mhm.
uh, we are using remix to make compost, but the compost itself, when it comes as a powder, say for
Okay,
example,
can you use it
can you reuse that back? So I'd
as
say
a
yes, you
batch?
can. So if today you're using, say, one quantity of remix, you can actually reduce that to half next time and mix it with compost also. So some people do that. Uh, Again,
Okay.
it's the same thing like I answered before. If you're using compost, that might not absorb as much water as your remix will. So you might have to add a little bit more, hence disturbing your proportion a little bit. So,
Okay.
but definitely, if you put it, it will compost it, no problems at all.
Okay. So as Daily Dump, what are your plans for future, and also like how do you see the world when people are much more aware about composting and are ready to take that step to start composting?
Yeah, so our plans are something similar to that. So the plan basically is that we feel we did a lot of work in starting this movement in the country. A lot
Hmm.
of first adoption of composting in many parts of the country was just because of daily dump composters being there. But we still feel the reach is not as per what we would want. The market, so to speak, or the number of people out there who can potentially compost and are not doing it, like we were talking earlier, right, about the intention, but actually doing it, that sort of a gap, is really big. So immediately going forward, we aim that in the next few years we reach out to many more
More.
people, and at least 10 times of what we are doing right now would be a fair target, because our country is huge and there are so many people. We really need to make this a norm. We need to make this something that people adopt without a second thought, basically.
Okay. So, what are the different strategies that you use to basically to increase awareness? I think one is definitely your events, but right now that's not being done. So, is there any other way that you guys approach people and get them to doing this?
It's very organic. I think, like I said, we are there in 20 cities across the country, right? So there are people there who do stuff in their communities. I think it grows a lot like that. And also social media is helping now. That's a great
Okay.
place to kind of share best practices and uh, promote composting. So that's kind of like become the biggest thing now where people are able to know more about it, I'd say.
Okay. So, you guys don't have a store in Hyderabad, right?
We do have a partner in Hyderabad, yes.
Okay.
So if you want
Because we are Hyderabad.
details, oh, okay. So yeah, so I'll be more than happy to send you the details of that store. You can find it on our website also, but I or send it to your Instagram this thing, and you guys can are free to feel free to
Yeah,
reach
we'll
out to
share
those
it.
people there, and yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we would love to share it. Yeah. Um, Somebody says,
Wonderful.
do you guys have a base in Kochi?
Kochi, no, not right now. So if so all the composters or products that we can ship there, we definitely will be able to
Okay.
send them. But and we also get lots of orders through, say, things like Amazon, for example, from Kochi. But
Yeah,
we don't have a
yeah.
physical partner.
Okay. Okay, there's
And
only
if
I think yeah, I mean there's only 45 minutes 45 seconds remaining. I think the
oh,
live is
okay,
going to end. It's been an hour. But thank you so
okay, oh
much for
wow,
doing this and
no
answering
problem.
the different questions. Yeah, I mean we thought of half an hour, but it actually went up to an
Yeah.
hour.
No,
Yeah.
no, wonderful.
Thank you
Thank
for
you for all
doing
the
this.
questions, and I hope some people definitely start composting after this. That'll be my
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye bye.